All right, we're on session 7, and this is about capturing leads with open houses. So let's see. We're going to talk about best practices, prepare, prospect, and pursue, and then recap. I think today is a shorter session, but this is definitely something that needs to be looked at and applied. Open houses are coming back. For a while there in COVID, there was, no open houses. And so the ability to do an open house, and even if you don't have a listing, to do another person's listing open, it's a win-win situation, and we're all about that. It gives you the ability to say, hey, I've got something going on. It gives you something to market, it gives you something to have a conversation about. And it's really good. So we want to make sure that we know how to hold the best open house to get lead generation and capture leads from it. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. Gary Keller, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And every agent has one of two problems. You either have too many leads for your business that you can't handle and you're having to hire help, or you don't have enough leads. So there's only one problem you can have. Most people fall into the category of they don't have enough leads. So the goal is to get however many leads more than you need to hit your goal, to ensure that you do hit your goal. So what challenges do you encounter with hitting your lead goal? What are some of the challenges?
For hitting the goal?
Yeah, what is your challenge with lead generation and getting the appointments and things you need?
The conversation, just the first thing. I guess if you introduce yourself as a realtor, I guess when you get shut down, they say, oh, well, I already have a friend that's a realtor, or auntie or uncle. It's like, what do you do after that? To even try to get an appointment with them or tell them to send someone else to you because they're using that friend or relative.
Well, and that's where too, knowing your value. So just saying, oh, I understand. Would you mind me sending you some information on your neighborhood? Of course, no obligation. Or if you want to check out my app, you're just offering something, and then you're just putting them in your database no matter what they say, so that you stay in touch with them, because you never know what situation may occur, and they may feel obligated to use their cousin, friend, neighbor, whoever, but they may refer you business as well. So, it's always painting your value. And once you put them in your database and you're sending them neighborhood updates, you shared your app with them, that's something that their friend, cousin, whoever doesn't have, because they're not a Keller Williams agent, unless they are. And then, but typically we have so much value for the consumer, and we're just not sharing that story. We're just not really good about going, okay, well, let me make sure I get your information so that I can send you, birthday cards and things. It doesn't necessarily have to be, hey, do you want to sign a buyer agreement or list your home with me? We just want to stay in touch with them and be top of mind with them. So when they think about real estate, they think about us. So of course, there's 5 million other realtors out there. That's going to happen. We just want to have enough conversations with enough people that we get our leads. And if you know what, your sphere is not doing it, then that's when it's time to look at other lead opportunities, doing ads, buying leads, some different things like that. Reaching out to expires for sell by owners, having different avenues of lead generation. Today, doing open houses. If you just invite people to open houses and you did an open house every other week, that'd be 2 a month, and your goal would be to get 15 people in each open house. That would definitely get you enough leads, for sure. All right, so most people have the limiting belief that they don't have a listing to hold open, and they don't have any signs, and they don't know the answers to all the questions that somebody may have. And the open houses don't really work because most people look online, or you won't feel safe. Are these any concerns that you have had about
Yes.
houses? Okay.
Yes. Don't have, mine would be, don't have all the answers to the question.
Well, the thing is, most of the time, when you hold an open house, and when I have my instructions for everybody, one thing we make sure we have is a lot of information, and it should be any question, answer any question they have. It's information on the neighborhood, like a CMA of the neighborhood. You have the MLS printout. You have different features of the home that are significant. And that's mainly what they're going to ask. Anything else, say, you know what, I'm going to do a little research around that and give you a call back. And it gives you a reason to call them back. And that's totally understandable. Typically, anything they're going to ask, though, you're going to have there with you prepared the day of the open house. So you're going to have a lot of the data that they're looking for, because we already preemptively know some of the questions that they're going to have. So you don't have to know everything, right? But there are definitely things that you will know based on the resources you have provided that day for the open house. And I've got a whole list of those that, whether it's your listing or not, you can have all that ready. One thing I do is connect with Tyler and get, he did some paperwork for my listing, excuse me, and it was why wait? And it was some data around purchasing now at the list price versus waiting. And that was really good to have, because people are like, oh, well, I didn't know that, you know, it would cost me X amount of dollars to wait 2 years. So you really just want to have enough resources that validates now is a good time to buy. This is a wonderful property, and that you are the real estate professional that they want to connect with any questions that they have. So the odds of them asking something that you're not prepared for the day of an open house are pretty much slim to none. But typically, if they're tire kickers, they want to come look at the house and they're a nosy neighbor, or they're just kind of exploring what's going on in real estate, and they really have questions about the house typically, which you have that material with you. And about not feeling safe, I do recommend people partner up, especially when you first start having open houses. We had a couple PC agents host my listing open before it went under contract, and that made me feel good, because they could work together to create a plan, and for them to have one another to be there at the same time as well. I mean, it's not a dangerous neighborhood or anything. You definitely wouldn't take an open house in an area you didn't feel safe. But making sure people know where you are at all times is important, and then buddy up for sure. All right. So who benefits from open houses? The sellers, the buyers, the neighbors, and you, the agent, or if you're hosting on someone's behalf, that agent as well. Again, it's fantastic marketing. It always looks wonderful that there's activity going on. It gives the neighbors something to talk about. You want the neighbors to come. I know I've heard people, well, the just neighbors came. Well, one, you didn't really do a great job of marketing that enough advance if only the neighbors came, but you do want the neighbors to come, because you say, hey, help me find your neighbors. Who do you know that this might be a great home for? And having conversations with them, again, builds that validity, builds your name, and puts you top of mind for somebody. And this says something about COVID precautions. We don't talk about that anymore. We're pretty good on all that. All right, the benefits of an open house. It's inexpensive. It's a great prospecting tool. You get a high return on an investment, and you should be getting qualified leads. So the theory is those that are coming as buyers are active buyers. Those that are kind of checking it out, yes, you will see that. But typically, if someone's coming to an open house, they have already begun the process or are in the process of getting approved, because that's where they think this now time to shop. One of the comments about the limiting belief on shopping online, yes, people do look online, but people also, the data shows, come in person and talk to an agent. So having that opportunity, you have to make sure that you are keeping that, top of mind to hold a house open. It really is, y'all, such a great thing to do. It gives you a reason to prospect and get your name out there. Let me see, I lost my place in the papers here. All right, and then of course, the qualified leads, that's important because that's someone whose timeline is closer to buying. Rather than just someone kind of seeing what it looks like. You have somebody who is actually, that whole ready, willing, and able, they're closer to the spectrum of that. And so that when you build that meaningful relationship, they're thinking of you as you are showing your professionalism, showing these open houses and things like that. Any ahas from that section? There's kind of to me, very obvious, but maybe it's something someone hasn't really thought about open houses before. It's the idea of it giving you the ability to prospect. All right. Let's talk about best practices. So the first thing we want to do is, we talked about moving from E to P, right? So we want to go from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And the first thing we want to do is set goals. We want to be purposeful. I mentioned how many open houses do you want to do? How many people do you want to see at your open house? And how are you going to achieve that goal? And you want to make sure that you're setting attainable goals, but that you want to maximize your return on your investment. It's not just, hey, I'm going to carve out 2 hours and pop in this listing. It's being very purposeful with what you're doing during that time. Goals are not just to get the appointment. An open house is a great way to generate leads. We talked about that. All right, so we want to set our goal. We want to pick the house. So think about the market. You want to have a marketable listing, of course. You want to have it in a neighborhood that is desirable. You want to have it in a price point that is good for advertising, all those things. You typically wouldn't have an open house at, say, an investor special. You want to have something that looks good, it matches the brand and the image you're trying to have, and that there be a place that there be people wanting to come and visit this area as they're out and about. So pick the house. You can always go in MLS and look at our office listings. We have our office, Pinnacle has an office, they've got listings. We've always got probably 50 or so on the market. So there's definitely an opportunity there to look through and see a house that you feel like would be a good one to do an open house at. And making sure as you're picking the open house, the property, it's somewhere that someone can drive to. So if you pick a rural house, the opportunity of someone kind of driving by and seeing it, it's really ideal to be in a neighborhood or somewhere where there is traffic and things that you wouldn't kind of be 15 minutes off the interstate and there's not really a lot there. Not that you can't do that. It's just going to be more difficult to get leads in the door as the day of. So things close to shopping centers, grocery stores, coffee shops. You don't have to pick the most expensive or the least expensive. Just make sure it's average in our price point that's selling in our area, so that it will make sure that it's, again, a marketable property. All right. So if the goal of an open house is to generate and qualify leads, what are other things we need to think about before we pick a home to hold open? Talked about some of these things. What kind of home are you looking at? What kind of property are you looking at when you're thinking of, that's a house I want to hold open? No, Jasmine, we cannot hear you. Oh, she's gone now. Okay. So again, making sure it's in a desirable area, that it, oh, she's back, that it is a, attractive, marketable home. All those things are things you need to think about when looking at an open house. All right. Jasmine, you want to try to talk again? Let me see if I can ask to unmute you. Maybe that will work.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, you can hear me.
I got you now.
So basically I was gonna ask, which I don't know if you covered this already, but the day that you do your open house, I know most people do it on Saturday, but did you have success doing your like during the week for lunch hour? I like how you did like realtors luncheon or
Mhm.
just something during the week just to kind of have like variety. I wanted to know what your outcome was like. I wanted to come, but I got busy that day, so I wanted to see.
So what I typically do, and this, they may talk about this, I don't know, this is just my personal. When I list a house that first week, I want to do a realtor open first, that the real estate agents come to preview it, because we all know, everybody looks at that hot sheet, but it's much different when you're in the house. And I want to get as many realtors there, so I'm gonna do lunch, I'm gonna do a giveaway, I'm gonna do something that is attractive to the agent. And then that next Saturday, I wanna do an public open house, so that the realtors that came during the week hopefully can come that Saturday or Sunday. Now, I did one on Saturday, and then the next week, they did one on Sunday. I actually didn't have anyone attend my open house on that Saturday. Again, I didn't have a lot of I mean, like, I advertised it, but they want you to advertise for like 2 or 3 weeks. Get that
And
out.
you got a
But-
door knock, like that's something I plan on doing
there's-
too.
The shift book has a 7-step, and I'm probably gonna talk about this, but door knocking the neighborhood, sending out mailers, making sure there's social media ads to that area and that neighborhood. That's gonna get the maximum attention, right?
Yeah.
Facebook event. There's different things like that where you can, again, giveaways, that's gonna get the most people in the door.
Right.
But that's how I like to do it, is get the realtor during the week for lunchtime, and then do that next weekend and do an open house every weekend until it goes under contract, so that you can kind of set that rhythm. And so you can tell the neighbors and say, hey, we're going to be holding this open, please forgive the traffic, please come take a look at it. Building relationship and connecting with people.
Oh yeah, and that'll let your seller know that you're serious about like, putting in the
Well,
work.
exactly. Who else is going to say, I'm going to hold this open every weekend? Now, here's the thing.
Right.
If you have things on the weekend, I understand that. And me personally, me saying that, I had totally planned I was going to get some PC agents to do it. So there's people in our office that would love to do it. If you don't have the time to do it every weekend, just make sure that, like, again, you're setting yourself apart. You're not just putting a sign in the yard. You're showing them that you're going to market their home to the best of your ability.
Okay, that's something that I'm gonna like take forward. Just even when I go to like do a listing presentation, like that'll be like something that I like mention, hey, this is what my plan can be. Because you don't really, I've never thought about it like that, just telling them, and every weekend until they get sold or whatever, just so they can see how much effort I'm willing to put in on their behalf. So I like that.
Well, and the truth is, honestly, y'all, think about leaving your house every weekend. You don't want to do it. So when it actually comes down to it, they probably won't do it more than 3 times.
Right.
Because you're like, oh,
but the
your
fact
home
that you
has to be
offer
show ready, you have to, but it sounds so good, you saying that. And yes, of course, commit to it. And if they're going to do it. But the actuality is, they get thinking about it and they're like, well, gosh, I got to leave the house for 3 hours. The house has to be spick and span. It may be more trouble than they want, but it sounds so good because you're saying, hey, I'm gonna carve out this time, and my weekends are your weekends. And that's gonna set you apart from anybody else that's interviewing. All right, let's see. All right, prepare and practice. You can invite a speaker such as an inspector or a lender. If you're doing an open house, I have a lender there typically. Again, a lender will partner with you. They'll help offset the cost for you. And they have that additional material about what's going on with the rates, why buy now, the cost of waiting, different things like that you can have. And you want to make sure that you have people sign in when they come in the open house, because you want to know who's in that home. I do it electronically. There's a way that you can do it electronically and then they come right into your command. But doing some sort of $25 gift card some little thing like that, and they have to put their information down. One, you're growing your database, which is the goal. You're qualifying leads, and you're getting information if something were to happen and you knew who was in that home on that day. Because it is your responsibility, whether it's your listing or not, you're holding it open on behalf of somebody else. If something goes missing or something happens, you need to say, hey, here were the people that attended today. Just making sure that you have a little station, whether you do it electronically, you have your iPad set up, you have them scan a QR code, you have them download your app, or you just have a good old piece of paper, that says sign in here. However you prefer to do it, you just want to make sure that you get everybody to sign in, get their contact information, and then that way you can have plenty of opportunity to wow them with the awesome tools and resources that we have, again, to be top of mind and that agent of choice. All right, pick the time and the theme. So Jasmine mentioned this. Some people want to do happy hour. You kind of got to be careful with that. But you could do a little happy hour deal and do some cheese and some wine. If it was, I'd say, a higher end house, a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday. Saturday morning, I don't see a lot of people doing that, but that's kind of when, if it's in a neighborhood, people are out and about, running around doing things. So maybe you would try to do like a 10 to 12 on a Saturday. You definitely here in the Bible Belt want to be after church if it's on a Sunday, anytime after 1 o'clock, typically 2 to 4 is the time. And you want to make sure that you have, if you're going to do a giveaway, if you're going to do whatever it is, you have that message out there. Cookies and lemonade, you have, afternoon ice cream party, whatever it is, you've got it, you've got the message plan, you've got it clearly organized so that you know what you're doing and that other people can also know, and having enough time. If you're hosting on behalf of someone else, the beautiful thing is you can say, hey, in 2 weeks, hey, in 3 weeks. Now, here's the challenge. When you do an open house for someone else, I would make sure they're okay with you hosting it regardless of whether it went under contract or not. Because you want to put all that work in, advertising, do it, and then it goes into contract. You're like, oh, wait, we're not going to do it anymore. Now, if it's my listing, I'm going to make the call with my seller to do that. My sellers they're busy packing up to go to Hawaii. So once it went under contract, they decided they didn't want to do any more open houses. And that's okay. But again, that the opportunity is not necessarily to sell that house. It's to grow your database, and this open house gives you an opportunity to do that. So just take into consideration different things going on. If it's during football season, you do not want to do it during an Auburn-Alabama game. There will be no one there. If there is a holiday like Memorial Day weekend, I would not have done one Memorial Day weekend because people are out and about doing other things, going to the lake, going to the beach. They're not necessarily looking for a house to look at. Now, if you have serious buyers, then they're probably going to shop that weekend, but they're not necessarily just looking for open houses to happen to. All right, what are the benefits of holding an open house the same time as other open houses in the neighborhood? What would you think the benefit would be?
You get that traffic, you get those people that are just out and about, getting information on the house, whether it's neighbors or potential clients. So,
well, essentially, it could be double advertising. So, I actually had an agent call me that got a new listing in the neighborhood that I just had a listing in, and she said, "Oh, you holding an open house?" Well, we had already gone under contract, but she was like, "Do you want to tag team it?" And this was from a different brokerage, but she's advertising, I'm advertising, ideally, right? When people come to my open house, I'm sending them hers and vice versa. And you're really sharing information. And again, you guys are going to be the one that take that information, put them in your database and connect with these people. And odds are that other agent's not going to do that. So one, you're going to show up correct, right? You're gonna have all your stuff organized. You're gonna be the best open house you could be, especially knowing somebody's going to compare you to another one down the street. But odds aren't around here, y'all. People put a sign in the yard, they hold the house open, they got some flyers. So just make sure that, if you're going to tag team it or whatever, that's a great idea, because that person's going to advertise and you're going to send people both your way. And you just want to make sure that yours is set apart. And is good and professional and that you can attract people. And then there are benefits of hosting an open house at a non-traditional time, because you would attract people that aren't normally available. So if your kids have things on the weekends, maybe a night thing could be happy hour time, 5 to 7, could be beneficial. You just want to be careful with that. And then again, if you're doing anything with alcohol, you want to be very, very careful with that. There's a lot of responsibility with that. But you could just do like a sangria and cheese or something like that and just have small cups for people, because you're not really wanting people to party. You're just wanting to come visit, that sort of thing. So, all right, let's see. All right, prepare your stats is the next thing that you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you know the market information. We talked about the resources that you would have there, having the CMA there, having the MLS printout there, having the tax information there. If you have a lender that can get you some information on what's going on with the rates, what's going on with the market, you want to make sure that you know the information on the local school district. The cool thing about some of our printouts that we have now, it's got like employment stuff nearby. You can look at what's, oh, it's close to, they're building that new high school or this charter school or the YMCA. You want to have information on what's near that area. And then, of course, traffic and commute times, which we all, want to make sure that, oh, this is 5 minutes from the interstate, or this is close to the interchange, or the nearest Publix is this far. Just making sure that on your flyers and things that you have prepared there, you have that information to highlight the statistics of the neighborhood so that people know, what's important and that they have something to take with them. If they're visiting multiple open houses that day, they'll remember your open house and they have that information in front of them. And of course, you're telling them, call if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to help you. Always asking if someone is working with a realtor is super important at these open houses. Just make sure that's one of the questions that you ask, because if you don't ask it and then you're just assuming, you can get yourself in some trouble working for this person, helping this person, and lo and behold, they've had another agent the whole time. So always make sure that you're asking, are you working with another agent? Have you signed a buyer agency with someone? Of course, you want to help them, but you want to be their one agent that they have. All right, so here's a way to be safe to make sure. Use the buddy system. We talked about that. You want to arrive early, park somewhere on the street, on the cul-de-sac. Don't park in the driveway so someone can't pin you in. You want to make sure that all the entrances and exits are checked. You have all the lights on, all the blinds open. Your cell phone is fully charged. It says check your local COVID guidelines. Again, that's not really an issue we have anymore. And then I have a checklist for open houses. I've got a whole resource folder. I did a whole mastermind on best practices for open houses. And so I'm happy to share that with anybody that would like that. And then we have the resources from the Shift Book, which is hosting a 7th level open house, which includes planning weeks in advance, posting to social media, door knocking the neighborhood, all of that to really make the most of your open house. All right, what are your ahas from this section here? Best practices for open houses. Did we talk about anything that you had not thought about before today?
Partnering with other agents, because it's not always competition. I mean, or it's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition. So I would have never thought to do a double head and open house in the same neighborhood.
Well, and we, I know the office put something out, but we used to do this paint the town red before COVID. And even just our office, we would try to get as many people that would do open houses on the same weekend together so that we could put together like one flyer and say, these are our 5 open houses that we're hosting this weekend, and, do something there so that you can promote more than one. And so everybody would have the other property flyers and go, oh, hey, make sure you check out XYZ today as you're out and about, just to get that exposure. And even a different company though, I found people are interested in that and just say, hey, I'm hosting open house this weekend. I saw that you're doing one. You're in the same neighborhood as me. You want to bring some flyers by, I'll send people your way, if you'll send people my way. And that just builds a little co-op camaraderie. And it also, again, they may have people that have stopped by theirs that you don't know or don't have access to, and they can send them down to you. Typically, somebody will do that. So, all right. So our next session is prepare, prospect, and pursue. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. Gary Keller, the millionaire real estate. All right, so we're going to model this approach to our open house. So most of the open house work is done the day before the open house. You want to prepare your mindset. You want to practice conversations. And you want to make sure that you have previewed the home before the day of the open house so that you know what the layout of the home is and different things like that. And again, you know where you're going to park and all that. Definitely show up early. Don't show up 5 minutes before the open house. You want to get there plenty of time to get set up and have, if you want to have balloons, whatever, have that going and ready to go so that you can capture leads and set appointments. All right, so we have goals. That's where our mindset's going to be. How many people do we want to come into the door? How many app links are we going to share? We want to remove our limiting beliefs, focus on your success, and believe in yourself. Again, practicing conversations for greeting people, answering questions, and getting your contact information. You want to know how many leads you intend to capture before you ever even go. All right, the week before the open house, you've selected the house on Monday. Tuesday, you're posting online, walking the neighborhood, inviting neighbors to showing. Wednesday, post again online, install a yard sign. Okay, y'all, about the yard signs. Please pay attention to the neighborhood. So certain neighborhoods will only allow you to put signs out on Friday. Make sure you know that because they will take your open house signs. And then Thursday, post online again repeatedly, invite your database. You want to prepare market statistics on Friday, print flyers, and door knock, making sure that the neighbors know, hey, we're going to hold this house open. We're going to be here. The seller asked me to come by and let you know. Please feel free to come or send anybody you know. And that whole making sure the seller has told me to come and invite you prevents that whole no solicitation thing. Just make sure, again, your seller knows that that's what you're going to do. All right, what clients want to know? What are some things somebody wants to know about a house in their neighborhood or a house they're looking at? They want to know about the community. They want to know about the neighborhood information and amenities. They want to know what kind of relocation information maybe you have in, what first-time buyer specifics you have. Again, your lender can prepare some first-time home buyer FAQ, things like that. And then that mortgage information. You want to make sure that you know what's going on in the neighborhood, what are the average days on the market, what's the average price point, what's the list to sell price, all of that. These are things that you want to make sure that you know so that when people have questions, you have the information. Again, recreation is super important to people. So be prepared to know, does the neighborhood have a playground? Does it have a community pool? Does it have access to a school, a daycare, a athletic youth league field? What's close around? People want to know that. All right, when we prospect, we want to build trust and rapport, provide value, capture information, and qualify leads. So you want to make sure that you know about leads, listings, and leverage. Open house is about leads, and leads. An open house is a great prospecting tool that requires mostly your time as an investment. There is a small financial aspect if you're going to do treats, goodies, giveaway, but it's typically not very costly and you can manage what you spend. You can do a lot of things inexpensively at an open house. And you want to make sure that you know how you're going to capture the information. I discussed, we have a sheet that says sign in here. You can do share your app so that when they share their app, when they download your app, when they sign into the app and it comes to your command, that registers them to win something. Or you can do like a QR code where they register via like a Google form or something. However you want to do as techie or as non-techie, as you want to be. You just want to make sure that you capture their information. Hey, are you an active buyer? Are you in the market to buy? Is this a neighborhood that you're interested in? Are you working with a realtor? There's several questions that you're going to ask to qualify and to see where they are. And you're, of course, going to be making notes on what that person says, so that when you go back into your command, you remember where that person was. When you have your open house smart plan, which I'm sure we're going to talk about here in a minute, that you have your message that matches what their needs are. All right, when you build trust and rapport, you want to greet everybody that comes in the door, engage them in conversation, and be positive, right? So some things you can ask visitors are, what brought you in today? Are you looking for a home in this neighborhood in this price range? Have you been looking at other open houses today? Would you like to know more about this the market or the neighborhood? What do you like about this house that I may share with others? Having a feedback sheet is really good too, because you can say, hey, the seller has asked for feedback on this home. And then some of the questions can be, what's your favorite feature? What is the first thing that you noticed about the home? That sort of thing. And then that way you can kind of get some feedback around it as well. You can give that to the seller, or you can just have it for yourself, so that when you connect with that person, you can say, hey, you mentioned that the large kitchen was important to you. If this home is not one that worked for you, can I look for homes in your price point with a similar layout, kitchen, pool, whatever the thing is? You can continue that conversation with that person. You want to meet clients where they are. If they don't seem interested in engaging, match their energy and let them be. But you definitely want to greet everybody, shake their hand, introduce yourself, make sure that they know who you are, and then you can kind of see where they stand to respond to that. Provide value. You want to know what are the statistics of what we've got going on, what's happening in the market, understanding different personality types. You may come across someone who is an I personality, is very talkative, very gregarious, but you may come across a C person, and that's a more quiet. They want the data, they want statistics, they want the paperwork that you have. You may have a D personality, that person's going to have several questions, and what is the square footage, and what is the price, and all of that. And so you just kind of have to, again, match that energy around that personality type and have something to offer the visitors. Always have a little snack, a little drink, something, but also including your consumer app, neighborhood information. If you have, like, you're doing a giveaway or a raffle, or if you have a coupon to a local restaurant, whatever it is, you have a little something that they can take with them when they go. All right, capturing the information. Again, having a sign-in sheet, using command, using your app, asking those qualifying questions, and making sure that you can follow up with them. So if they say, yes, we're out looking about today, we're not working with a realtor, would you mind if I connect with you at the end of the day, see if you had any feedback, if there's anything I can help you with? That's a great script. They give you permission to call back. You call them back later in the afternoon. How's it going? What properties did you see? Did you have any questions? Is there a property you didn't get to that I can show you next week? So typically they're coming to open houses because they don't have to have someone unlock the lockbox, right? So it doesn't feel like a commitment to them, but that's a great way that you can come in and say, hey, if you missed one or two of the houses that you wanted to see, I'm happy to schedule a showing for you. Since you're not working with a realtor, I'm happy to help you. That's making sure that you're knowing where they are, that you can fill the need they have and provide value. If you don't kind of know what to say, just remember the forward question: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. How's it going? How are you doing? What do you do for work? What are you guys doing this summer? Are your kids out of school? When are you looking to buy a home? Where do you live currently? Just questions about that person, and people love sharing about themselves. All right, and then we're going to pursue. So we're going to follow up and convert leads. So we're going to update our database, and if they download the app, again, if they download your app, they register, it comes automatically into your database. Want to make sure that you put their phone number with it though. And then you follow up with everyone. Thank you so much for attending. Were there any questions that you had after the open house? Making sure that if you host it that weekend, that within 2 business days, you're connecting back with them. And then seeing how it went, making sure you reevaluate your goals. What changes would you make for next time? And go ahead and create a plan around that. Do not reach out. You want to reach out to everybody that attended, whether they were tire kickers, the neighbor, or whatever. So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming. Please let me know if you know anybody in the market that I could help. Building relationships, guys. Building relationships. All right, so there is an activity here where you need to plan an open house. And I want everybody to do this. We're not going to do it during the class today, but I do want you to take time and plan a fictional open house. Pick a house on MLS. What would you do Monday, Tuesday, went all the way through? What is your goal for how many leads you would capture? How would you get their information? And how would you follow up? If you're PC, I want you to email that to me. Plan an open house. All right, what are y'all's ahas from that? Did I give homework? Is that an aha? Everybody's having too much fun in the hallway over here, y'all. What are your
I'm
ahas
not in
from this
PC, but I
section?
definitely
Go ahead.
I've been thinking about like picking a neighborhood, farming a neighborhood, and I think that'll be like a good segue for me to just get out there and like be active and just be in those real estate streets. So it's gonna push me to just go ahead and do it.
Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can turn this up because they're being incredibly loud out there. It will not go any higher. All right, hold on one second, y'all. Y'all, oh, I'm teaching at night. Hey, I'm teaching at night. I'm teaching at night. I'm teaching at night. Y'all. Maybe next time I'll just do this from the house. Okay, what were you saying, Jasmine? I missed you.
No, I was just saying that I had already been just considering what area I wanted to just kind of get in and like farm or whatever. So this is just gonna push me to get active, and I think it'll be a good way for me to kind of like introduce myself to the community when I like door
Yes.
knock, like I was saying, and just just try to get acclimated to just one neighborhood and just try to host multiple open houses in that neighborhood.
For sure. Well,
So
and something
they
good
can
too, I mean, there's just so
build.
much you can add on to an open house once you get the like foundation down. You can
Mhm.
start doing like, hey, have like a calendar of things that are going on near them. You can have, a different charity that you sponsor. Hey, come to our open house and bring something for the animal shelter and enter to win a gift card. I mean, there's just different things that you can do. That's just such a great opportunity. And specifically, if you're being very strategic about farming an area and holding open houses in that area, people are going to start trusting you. They're going to start knowing you, capturing the information, making sure that you're sending out. It is a long game, but that's where you're really going to solidify your business, building your database around a geographic farm.
Exactly. I had been watching a few like trainings on Command. It's like it's like a series or whatever, and that's what one of the agents, like that's basically how she like generate a lot of her business, do open house and like host events in that neighborhood. And it could be an event at the open house, like getting an ice cream truck out there, or like you said,
right, yeah. Getting
hosting
Nancy
like
Italian Ice to come they bring their little trailer, and they just hook it up, and then there's things like that. There's all kinds of things you can plus and plus and plus an open house.
So this just kind of gonna be my, okay, Jazz, stop thinking about it, stop planning. It does not have to be perfect, just do it. So
and it gives you such a great reason to reach out to people.
Exactly.
I'm doing this new thing with open houses, this neighborhood. My goal is going to be to have one, every weekend, whatever it is. And you just start having conversations with people, and you'd be amazed at how it actually comes to fruition.
Right. So that's my goal. That's my aha takeaway. I'm just gonna pick a neighborhood and just go for it and do it.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Anybody else? Okay. So this is what we talked about. This is our recap. So we talked about open house best practices, the benefits of an open house, and to prepare, prospect, and pursue. Does anybody have any questions about any of these things that we talked about today?
I don't at the moment.
Okay. And just let me know if your MPC, I already have that open house folder in our PC Google folder, but if you want the other resources that I have, I'm happy to share that with you too. Just send me a message and I'll send that over to you. All right, so ahas to achievement. How has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful to you today? How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take? What tools, models, or systems will you use, and how will they help you be accountable? Those are the things I want you guys thinking about as we're talking about capturing leads with open house. We know our success system is our daily 10-4, 10 real estate conversations, adding 10 contacts to command, writing 10 handwritten notes, the 10-5-1 social media engagement. That's that 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 message on social media. And if you're doing this every day, this is that daily success system to make sure that you're having enough conversations to get the leads, to hit the goals that you have set for yourself. Next week, we're gonna start 10:30, and it's gonna be capturing leads with social media. Next Wednesday, 10:30, capture leads with social media. Our affirmation as a reminder is, I engage with every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. Making sure that you are affirming your unlimited potential and not limiting yourself, saying people don't want to talk to me, or creating a story that may not be true. You're just reaching out, connecting with people, building relationships, and as people raise their hand with real estate needs, you're going to be there to help them. So I am thankful that you guys spent some time with me today. I appreciate everybody on this call, and we'll talk next week, Wednesday at 10:30. Bye, everybody.
Bye.